Hi, this is Vic, and right now you're looking at my stock photograph of my 2014 Cadillac ELR. My Cadillac ELR has performed gloriously for me in that it has done everything that I wanted it to do, and that I expected it to do. It has saved me money as far as gasoline, as far as pumping gasoline money out of my pocket and into my car. What you're seeing right now is my car sitting in front of my garage, and it is plugged in with the standard accessory that comes with the vehicle. Plugs it to the standard 120 volt AC outlet. And when I get up during the day or in the morning, my car has a full charge on it. I can drive for 40 miles, generally from 38 to 40 miles on one charge without needing to use the generator. The generator is the gasoline engine. It generates electricity. That's one of the main purposes of the gasoline engine in the ELR, is to generate electricity. It's a prime mover for electricity generator. But I can drive the car for straight 38 to 40 miles without using my generator. And the power supply, the dimensions of the power supply are that I am told that the dimensions are that the power supply runs along the center console of the vehicle and comes to a T under the bottom or under the back seat of the vehicle, the back seat of the vehicle. And it's fairly large. It's a fairly large power supply, or battery as it's commonly referred to. I prefer to call it a power supply, just like I prefer to call the engine, the gasoline engine, the generator, because it does generate electricity. And in this presentation, I'm going to talk about the extended range electric vehicle, which is the ELR, and I'm also going to talk about a straight electric vehicle, a vehicle that uses no gasoline and runs on straight electricity, period. And now what you're seeing now is the latest update to my lifetime miles per gallon average. In the lower right-hand side of the screen, you see lifetime says 92.2 mpg. That's the lifetime average of this vehicle. As far as I know, this lifetime can be reset, and it can only be reset by the dealership. Now, the car doesn't use gasoline all of the time. Like I said, I get anywhere between 38 to 40 miles on straight electricity using no gas. And the way the car calculates MPG, the way this 92.2 is calculated, is based on the total number. It's a mathematical calculation based on the total number of miles driven and the total gallons of gas used. One is divided into the other. The number of gas, or the number of miles driven, is divided by the number of gallons of gas used. And on this last time I drove, when I took this photograph, I drove a total of 65.8 total miles, as indicated by this circle. And most of it is green, indicating that the vast majority of the part of the trip was driven on electricity from the power supply. And a small chunk of it is blue, indicating that I did use the engine or the generator to generate some electricity. For 1.7 miles, I used the generator to generate electricity. And for 64.1 miles, I drove the vehicle. The vehicle is propelled by electricity from the power supply. Now, how can I drive 64.1 miles using electricity from the power supply only if the most I can drive is only 40 miles on one full charge. Okay, the reason that this is showing the way it is showing is because during this little trip here, this 65.8 total mile trip, I did stop once or twice to plug in the car. I didn't get a full charge during those times when I plugged it in. Did not get a full charge, but it did add to the state of charge of the power supply. So it extended the miles that I could drive on straight electricity without running the engine or the generator. So energy usage for this charge, in this particular case, it's misleading because when the car refers to, when it uses the phrase discharge, it's referring to the last time it was fully charged. So if I start off with a full charge, then I plug the car in to give me a little boost of some more electricity to extend the range a little bit, the car still counts that as one full charge, and that's it. The only time that this charge meter, this digital charge meter gets reset is when I plug in the car and then it gets fully charged again. But I want to get away from measuring my energy efficiency in miles per gallon anyway. And that's the main purpose of me doing this presentation. Like I said, the ELR has given me a good taste of what it's like to drive around without using gasoline. And the vast majority of the time when I'm within the city that I live in, I don't need to use gas. And driving a long distance has become very distasteful to me because I have to use gas in this particular case. And that's where this brand of car is going to come into play. That is Tesla. Now what you're looking at right now is the Model 3. No, that's not the Model 3, that's the Model S. And you see in the front, there's no grill, there's no decorative grill to hide the hole or the scoop. Anytime you have a scoop in front of something like an automobile, then that's going to, by default, that's just going to add drag to the vehicle and decrease its efficiency as it tries to flow, as the air tries to flow around it or through it. In this particular case with the Tesla, the air doesn't need to flow through the vehicle. It doesn't have to go through a radiator, which sucks up heat, and heat in a radiator is nothing more than just wasted energy. That's all it is wasted energy. And the internal combustion engine is a very powerful yet destructive process. There's, as you may know, there's little tiny explosions going on, hundreds or thousands explosions per minute going on inside of an internal combustion engine. And the way that the engine operates basically has not changed over the years, over the decades. It basically hasn't changed. Sure, instead of using carburetors, they're using fuel injection and atomizing it and added scientific ways to improve the process. But still a very destructive explosion that's happening inside the piston cylinders. And changing the reciprocal motion or the up and down motion of the push rods and the pistons into a circular motion is very inefficient. As a matter of fact, far less than 30% of the power generated inside an internal combustion engine is available at the wheels to drive the car. That is not true with an electric vehicle such as a Tesla. All it's needed for a Tesla to roll over the road is electricity to be flowing through wires. Or in this case, those wires are coils, tightly wound coils in a motor. And magnetism. It's a fact that when you have copper conductors, metal conductors that conduct electricity. When electricity is flowing through those conductors, it's a fact that there's always a magnetic field around those conductors. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and mention something else. There's some very sensitive electronic equipment that has to be a certain distance from other outside electrical conductors. If there's cables, for example, a certain gauge that are carrying a certain amount of electricity, then there's some sensitive electronic equipment that cannot be close to those types of cables, those kinds of cables. But I'm veering far and away from what I wanted to talk about, and that is the Tesla. The Tesla Model 3. Finally, Tesla has made a car that I can afford, and I greatly appreciate that. I'm glad to see it. I think that Tesla should do a better job of educating the American public as far as the advantages of the advantages and the benefits of driving an electric vehicle. Sometimes when I'm sitting in my car at a stoplight, and there's lots of cars around me, if I'm driving on straight electricity at my ELR, I will sit around and just look at the cars and how everybody's waiting. There's dozens of cars around me just waiting sometimes. And I say to myself out loud, I say, I wonder how many, do these people even think about how many gallons of gas cumulatively they are all sucking up right now? How many gallons of gas altogether are they sucking up per minute? And literally, if you add all those cars together, they're sucking up lots of gas and spitting out lots of poisonous fumes. And that's one of the advantages of driving a Tesla. And also improved performance. You get fantastic performance in a Tesla. There's the Tesla SUV, the Model X, it can be a performance car. The way it performs is equivalent to what a lot of internal combustion engine cars call performance cars, without the noise. You don't need a whole lot of noise and lots of rough, nasty fumes to get performance. The Tesla performs very quietly and smoothly and quickly, I might add. But this is the Model S, and this is a good-looking car, and the Model 3 is going to look very similar to it from what I've seen of the Model 3. There's another shot of that same Model S. And I took a photograph of the front end of this Tesla to show that it does not need a radiator or a hole to suck in cooling air to expend wasted energy, which is heat. It just allows the air to flow. The Tesla engineers can design the shape of the vehicle as efficiently as they need to or as they want to, so that the air flows around the vehicle as efficiently as they can get it to go, without having the need to have a giant hole that's going to suck up air into the car. And this is a side shot to show how flush the handles are on the Tesla. If the handles were not a different color, if they were not silver, it would be very hard to see them, I believe, because they're so smooth, so flush with the side of the vehicle. And I believe the Model 3 is going to have the same design. And that's it.